Well, New Orleans was an experience. That was awesome. Got up pretty early in the morning, just because I couldn't go back to bed. Um, Went down to Bourbon, took an Uber. First Uber was pretty chill. Um, that was the cheapest ride I got all day, which was like $12. Ended up being like $22 because I tipped him $10. Because first Uber ride, why not make it big? So I went down Bourbon Street. That was really cool. It was oddly like 3/4 of the Bourbon Street was really bars and all that stuff, and the other part was just like residential areas. But yeah, lots of bars, lots of places. Particularly for the drunk people, pizzas and all those kind of things. Some easy to eat for them, I guess. After Bourbon Street, I decided to take a trolley that ended up getting me lost. Take a trolley is $1.25. The conductor guy was kind of rude, but I was trying to pay, like, how much is it? It's $1.25. I'm like, I only have $2. I don't have 25. So we'll just go ahead and put it in. I'm like, all right. Anyways, not too kind to a tourist, but it's fine. Anyways, I get on this trolley. I'm relaxing. My legs are tired, so I wasn't paying attention where we were. I was headed to the cemetery. That's where I was headed. So I took this trolley up north, and then like we're starting to like nothing looks familiar. Nothing looks like a French Quarter. So well, before I got off, this guy got on wearing like sandals, brown sandals with they're not khakis, plaid pants, most torn up white shirt I've ever seen. This guy was young too. He was like 20s or 30s. He wasn't like an old guy. White torn up shirt, giant hole in the back with a fedora and a 5 o'clock shadow. Like the beard, 5 o'clock shadow beard. And then he was carrying 2 ginormous paintings, and he just kind of stumbled. He was a really weird dude. So at that point, it's like, all right, I'm going to get off. I had this one other guy talking to me who I could barely understand. Like, I could see his intentions were good, but I just could not understand this dude. His mouth did not open. So I got off the trolley, decided to walk along the trolley path back into the French Quarter. Found the cemetery, so I ended up walking more than I wanted to, because I thought the trolley made a right turn, like all around the French Quarter, but it didn't. But when I went to the cemetery was really neat. $20 to get in because it was to help pay for security and help pay for the tour and everything, because homeless people were breaking in and stealing the bones for voodoo stuff, I was like, that's really low. They would also go in there and steal the copper pins that hold the granite plating, with the people's names on it. They'd steal the copper pins because copper was, it's been really expensive. So tour was really cool. I never realized, how, it's an ingenious way how to bury people. But yeah, you had vaults, and you put, someone in there, and you could have like 3 vaults. You could have a bunch of vaults. There's society vaults where, it's like just a huge, like 5x5 or 6x6, just vaults for society members. That way, like a society, a group, a club could put money in towards putting the cemetery up. That way they can all be buried the way they like without having to pay extremely high prices. Because building a vault is very, very expensive to maintain, to keep up. But yeah, the vault, so you put your dead ancestor, dead whatever in there, and then after a month or two, because they get so hot, it would just be the remains. There'd be nothing left, just bones. So, or maybe not even a month or two. Well, they do, yeah. It had to be a year for them to, a year and a day before they could put someone else in the same vault. So, after a year and a day, if they need a new family member to go in there, because this is the time of yellow fever, so people were dying very fast, very quickly. So they needed a place to put their bodies. So instead of you have to put the body somewhere. Grandma dies, and then Jimmy dies a month later. You can't put Jimmy in the same tomb. So you had to put him in a holding oven, which is what they called it. Looked just like an oven. It looked just like an oven. In there, they would decompose really, really fast in their casket. But yeah, so let's say whoever's they died a year and a half later, another person dies. So they take that person, they dump the remains inside that little tomb, and they push all the way to the back where there's like a slit or a hole or something like that drops down to a cave below them, like a giant cave where they could hold up like 50 to 100 people's remains in there of all their family members in this giant like cave underneath it. That way they could keep burying people keep burying people. But yeah, it was really, and with the casket, they burned the casket because yellow fever, no one knew where the disease came from. Nicolas Cage has a tomb. The story was that Nicolas Cage, during Katrina, he really wanted to help out these people, so he bought 2 houses in New Orleans, and then one in the Garden District and one in the French Quarter. And then he said, well, I want a cemetery. So he bought a cemetery but wasn't sure what to build. So he went to a fortune teller, voodoo queen. She said, well, I had a dream of King Tut. So King Tut, pyramid. So he built a it was a pyramid for Nicolas Cage for when he dies. Well, all this excitement of all these buying new houses, he forgot to pay his taxes. So he ended up having like $3.9 million in taxes, something like that. So 2 houses totally gone. Well, when you buy a plot in the cemetery, you can't not have it, I guess. So anyways, he's stuck with it, and that's where he'll may or may not be buried, I guess. It was really gross. People used to think that if you kissed his soon-to-be cemetery, that you have good luck. So there's still like lipstick stains and stuff like that on his tomb. There was a voodoo queen as well. She had a bunch of marks on hers. So if you do 3 X's left to right, and then you spin, you have good luck for the rest of the year. Then if you come back on the same day, do X's in the opposite direction, and you spin in the opposite direction, you have good luck. And it just keeps going. They had voodoo queen, and she was, I guess, a very important lady back then. But it was just a small section of what it used to cover. This entire, like, there's a cathedral off to the side. Can't think of every cathedral has a saint in front of it. I have no idea which saint it was, but a bunch of saints. So the cemetery just all around this cathedral. So after there, I went to the World War II Museum. It was very, very well done. But do not go there if you just, even for me, and I hold food down fairly well. It's just, there's a lot of pictures just so gruesome. Just, like, it's history, of course. I respect that. Respect the hell out of it. But, there's people, their brains are falling out of their forehead. People had put grenades up to their face and exploded into their face. They have videotapes of, men screaming and, during D-Day especially. But it was a very well documented history of World War II. Amazing. I mean, there's so many details. Like, you could spend an entire day there if your legs didn't get tired. Mine did. That was exhausting, that walk. But yeah, it submerged you into the action almost. It was one of the most spectacular museums I have ever been in. So after there, I went back to Frenchman Street because I was thinking about getting some food. It was getting around 4 or 5 o'clock. I was looking around. I really didn't see any place I really wanted to go eat at. So walked around. So I just started walking around, and then I found found the fortune teller who did a palm reading. He's gonna be 91 years old. I'll meet my significant other in December. Just like, bunch of stuff. Some of the stuff was kind of spot on. Other stuff, like right at the beginning, she's like, all right, you're from New York, California. You were in a rush to get here. I'm like, not really. Very old lady, smoked constantly. But she had the money to do it. $20 for her looking at my hand with a magnifying glass and just telling stories about what she thinks my life is going to be. But yeah, it was very weird. It was very odd. But I'm like, there's so much voodoo stuff around here. I've got to do something, Gotta get my hand read And it was like, that was the cheapest one. $100 was the looking into a glass bowl and, getting your fortune told that way. And I know it's fake, but it's just kind of fun. It was just kind of a cool experience. That's why I didn't spend $100. It's like, I'll do your cheapest option just to get a taste of what this voodoo stuff is about. A lot of voodoo stuff, a lot of fortunes, and it was very odd. But hey, it's Big Easy. You do you, I do me, kind of thing. So after the voodoo thing, I walked around a little bit more. By this time I'm getting pretty hungry, so I go back to the original place I began at, which was the aquarium. And so I walk over there, sit down, and then I see the ferry. I'm like, well, I'll go check that out. And that was really nice. It was $49 for the ferry. Had like a little snack bar on there and stuff. So I did end up having dinner. The reason I didn't go right back here was because the fare was like $60. $60 for the cheapest Uber to get me 10 miles across the city. So I was like, man, that's kind of upsetting. But that's why I stayed. But I'm glad I paid $50 for that ferry because that was insane. Went up to the very top deck. They had Dukes of Dixieland playing. Great jazz players. Piano player. He just had a big smile on his face the entire time, just playing. Giant cello guy just playing along, and drummer who's really into it pretty much the entire night. Trombone player, of course. His name was Wes. Really cool guy. Really amazing, like singer and player. Trumpet player and saxophone, alto, sax, flute, clarinet. He knew them all. Very intelligent man. But yeah, there's a giant dining hall in the middle. It was beautiful. I'm like, man, you gotta take one of these days when I get my girlfriend in December. I'll definitely take my girlfriend out there. But yeah, it was amazing. Then, you go out and you go down the Mississippi, and they kind of give you a few sightseeing things on each side of the, like our greatest import is steel and our greatest export is grain, which doesn't really surprise me too much. But yeah, it was just really cool. And then when we turned around, you're going into the wind, it's really cool breeze, a little cold, but feels the last time we have a nice cool breeze. Oklahoma's going to get ridiculously hot soon. So what else I do? So yeah, we head back up to Mississippi. We had jazz music playing in the background. You got the city lights in front of me. I'm just leaning back on I'm on the fence parts of the ship, just relaxing, and it was really nice. Like, I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just enjoying the breeze. City lights. It was really the most relaxing part. Like, I could have fallen asleep right there if it wasn't for how cold it was and all the people around me. But that was definitely an experience. That was amazing. You know, so when the Saints go marching in, don't worry, be happy. All that jazz music playing in the background. Man, it was cool. It was a really nice experience. But got back, and of course I got beads as well. Found beads on like this hanging thing, and I was like, I'll take the beads. So I didn't have to pay for beads, which I could have if I wanted to. But now I'm off to Waffle House.